All right. So yeah, welcome to our last lockdown lounge room live session. I thought that we would just go out with a bang, and I'm going to embark on maybe something a little bit more creative. And when I say something creative, it's still a combination of classic techniques, because that really is the only way to create something. Is it's all based off those fundamentals. So even though I say creative, yeah, it's actually, if you pulled separate parts of it out and extracted them, it's still classic. Okay, so this is what I'm thinking for today. This is our section pattern, very similar to the section pattern that we used for our shorter look on that gorgeous color that Stuart Bain colored on Jamie's last hurrah that we did maybe last week. Was that Bradley? Yeah, so similar section pattern. So this is going to be a completely different end result based on utilizing this section pattern but doing different techniques within it. Okay, so that's where I'm thinking. What I want to do today is keep some length. I want to create a nice sort of strongish baseline, and then internally I want to remove some weight so it sits nice and flush on the head, and then through the top I want to kind of do a little bit of a, if you're in Bieber Academy, like a short round, sort of like a pixie shape through the top that will sort of sit on top. But because we've created these shorter elements underneath, I'm hoping that it will sort of sit really nice and flush in, but then we'll have more of a seamless length underneath. That's kind of my plan. Through the front, I don't know what we're going to do. I thought today, it's like the last day. Let's just kind of cut hair as well and just, yeah, see where we end up. This mannequin as well hasn't been used before, so it'll be pretty cool. We can, this is a completely blank canvas, so I think we can, yeah, come up with some cool color ideas for Jane as well while we're working through. Really hydrating these mannequins, these blonde mannequins. You've got to hit it with some leave-in treatment. Okay, so I've got some clips. So I might start with my baseline, because I feel like that length will then dictate, you know, the flow of everything else. So even though, I mean, I could probably do it in one section, but I'm going to get a lot of excess graduation, and I want this to be really beautiful. So I'm going to just tilt my client's head down. Okay, and if we had a spine, which we don't, spineless Jane here, I would feel for that spine, centralize myself. This is molting this mannequin a bit, so just bear with me. Have a feel for the spine, line my comb up, and then we'll jot down the center. So we're going to do this perimeter in just a couple of sections. I want it to be on a slight angle, so that tells me I need my sections to be on a slight angle. Yeah, because you want that section to kind of reflect the shape that you want to create. Okay, so my section will come down on this angle. I'm going to do my sections, you know, not on the terribly small side, because I've got a lot of cut to get through here. And, you know, it's the last day of lockdown. Is it sunny outside? I don't know. Anyway, I hope you've all got a drink in your hand. So we'll just twist that. Or if you don't have to twist, I would always prefer just to simply put a clip there. You can waste a lot of time like twisting for a section that you only need temporarily. If you're doing, say, a half head of foils and you know that section needs to stay there for a really long time, then I would twist it around really systematically to make sure it was secure. But for something like this is like more of a temporary section. I don't need to spend hours twisting it up. Okay, and we'll come through this side. Remember, combing the hair in the direction that you want that section to go in. And then we'll just come through here. And I'll just check that balance. Yep, and that's all good. So we'll secure that out of the way as well. Try not to snag that top section. Okay, so what I will do is, you want to try and get eye line with what you're doing. So I'm going to pop my chair up. Always try and protect your own back. And it's something that, I don't know, for myself, I always have to remind myself to do it, because I get so into what I'm doing. I'm like, I get lower and lower, and I think one of the demos, Bradley and I, like by the end of it, we were both like, because he was getting lower to film me. So then I was like getting lower. It was actually pretty funny, but here we are. So I'm going to use the base of this mannequin just so that my line will sit flush on that and then drop down. I'm going to over direct everything back into my straight line, okay? So I don't want to have too much tension. So in terms of tension, I'm going to use my comb. My small teeth will give me more tension than my wider teeth, okay? So this will release off the tension. So I think I want this side. If I was looking for loads and loads of tension, say if it was curly hair and I wanted it to explode, maybe I would think about using more tension. But when you're wanting a line and you're wanting your line to be at sort of 0 degrees and be really crisp, less tension is better, okay? So yeah, if you're kind of new to cutting as well, I don't know what sort of students we've got in here today, who's watching, if anyone's watching, but yeah, there's lots of classic demos as well that we've done, like really simple things. So if there's something in this demonstration today that's kind of a bit like, oh my God, what is she talking about? Go back and watch some of the other ones because it might explain in a little bit more detail what I'm talking about. Okay, so I'll spin this around so you can follow along. So I'm standing right in front of what I'm doing. I'm projecting the hair down straight so that I can then cut on a 90-degree angle. Can you see like there's a 90-degree angle between the projection of hair and the line that I'm going to cut? So what is really important is that my client's head shape, their head and their body is sitting straight. Okay, so let's bring this down because you might spend all this time making sure that you've got this kind of 90-degree projection, but then your client's got their legs crossed and then you're like, bugger.
Kobe Lee just said, sorry I'm late, what are we doing?
Hi Kobe, that's okay. We're going to do something more like creative. So when I say creative, it's what we would call a combination haircut, because realistically we know that all haircuts are a combination of classic techniques. So this is going to be a combination of classic techniques. I'm starting off with my perimeter and I'm establishing this perimeter line with a 90-degree projection. So I'm over directing everything back. So it's going to increase in length a little bit around the front. Check that balance. And I like that shape because it's sitting just on that lip there, and then it's going to come and extend through the front. So I'll take out my next section. I've got a fair bit to get through here, so I don't want to take my sections too fine. And we've spoken about that before. We've spoken about like managing your energy. Like what's the most important part of this haircut? It's actually not going to be this absolutely perfect line. So I need to make sure I've got enough stamina and energy and time to create the rest of the shape. Okay, so I'll bring that down. I'm back here, got my hips in line with my client's shoulders and coming back in. When you're creating a line, it's about consistency. So consistent tension. I'm consistently using the wide teeth, and I use the teeth for as much as I can, and then I sort of put my fingers in right at the bottom, if you can see that. So it's all about the comb, and then fingers just kind of grab it at the end there. So comb. If this was a client and they had a back, which most people do, you could probably do this. You'd lay your fingers on the client's shoulders, and that would really help you create, that really nice clean line. But we don't have that sort of luxury today. Okay. I might actually just bring all of this down for this last section. If I can see my guide through there, which I can, then that is what you're after. Okay. If you can't see your guide, then your section is too big. Okay. So wide teeth down, nice and smooth, using the comb for as much as possible, and then gripping with the fingers. So if I need to take a step, I'll just take one step. So then I gravitate back towards the same spot. Okay, so I just move one foot, I'm moving my right foot over, and I grab the hair, and then I come back. So I'll always gravitate back towards the same position because I'm keeping this nice and stable, like I'm playing netball and not basketball. When you're playing basketball, you remove 2 feet, so you lose your position. But I'm going to keep this here. I take a step forward, grab the hair, and then come back. Just that little thing will sort of help you with that balance. And I think the less you move around sometimes, the quicker you can establish your line. And sometimes it's better to get things done more efficiently than freaking out and taking too long, because you end up sort of killing it with kindness. Sometimes the clients get over it too, like they don't want to sit there all day. So same, I'm still here, centralized myself. I'm coming in, now I'm on this side and I'm working out. If I need to move to get the hair, I'll just move one foot, grab that, and then I come back to the same position.
Lou Hunter says, hi team, sorry I'm late.
Hi Lou Hunter, welcome to your last Lounge Room Live. Okay, so we're just creating this baseline, this one length at the moment, Lou. We've got a fair bit to get through, so I don't want to take a million little sections for this. So we'll just bring all of this back. Okay, now I'm just going to check my balance. When you check your balance, cross-check your balance at the same elevation that you cut. I'm not bringing it down there, I'm bringing it back here. Okay, so I'm just going to bring this back and check that elevation through there. I think that will be fine. Just check this side. Oh, all good. All right. So there's our baseline completed in through there. Maybe I will just bring just this one. You can see as well, this section here is a little bit, it's a little bit lower, so that this has a little bit more length here. I'm just going to bring this corner up. But because the section that you take is not symmetrical, right, you're going to get a different length at the front. Does that make sense? So that's why you want to cross-check at the same elevation that you cut. So we'll cross-check back here where you cut. Okay, all right, so let's keep going. What I want to do now is I'm moving internally and I'm going to remove some length. So I'm going to start layering. I'm going to lower my chair. Okay, spin this around. I want to work on top of my fingers because I want to reduce. Okay, so I'm just figuring out where it is I'm going to stand. Okay. Whoop. Drop my comb. Okay. So I'm just going to come in here. I'm going to use diagonal back sections. Okay. I'm going to pick this up. This first section, I'm going to take it all the way to the hairline. If you need to use a clip to kind of keep your hair out of the way, that's fine. So this first section, on top of my fingers, and I'm going to work it all the way through to the perimeter. Drop that, and I'm just going to have a little look. Still a bit too long there. Just going to add a little bit more water. Okay, pick this up. Just crop this a bit shorter. I want it to sit really flush internally. So combing that down, that's going to sit better. So that's just a bit flatter there. Okay, so I want my sections to be diagonal back. Okay, going to pick this up, but I don't want my sections to go all the way to the perimeter, okay? So I'm just going to, each time, assess where I'm at and leave the perimeter out, okay? So diagonal back. Again, if you need to clip it to keep it clean, do that. I'm combing from my new section. I'm elevating. I'm on top of my fingers because I'm removing weight. And I'm cutting flat to the head. Okay, so I'm kind of round layering this internal section. Okay, diagonal back. Each time I do this, I'm going to be stopping at a completely different position. Okay, because that's okay, because it's for me to map the head and make that decision. So, but I want to keep this kind of solid strength through the bottom. So this is definitely, you know, what I would be calling more of a conceptual haircut. I think conceptual cutting is kind of a, I don't know, for me, it's been a really important part of my growth and development of understanding shape and form, is to just get a mannequin or like a really, really good friend and then just kind of creatively cut and create shapes. You know, that's also as well why, you know, a huge part of our growth and development at Bieber is competition work. It's pushing ourselves to you know, create new shape and look at things in a different way. And that's the sort of thing that in the salon you don't get to do. I mean, this is not something that you're going to rip out tomorrow on your first day back at work. I mean, never say never, you might, but you know, this is not salon work. This is this kind of creative conceptual cutting that we're talking about. But sometimes it's doing these kind of shapes that helps everything sink in. Okay, so you can tell because I'm on top of my fingers, this is going to sit even flatter and flusher in through here. Okay, and working back. Pick this up. So has everyone been pretty crazy getting ready for life to reopen tomorrow? I wonder how the book's going, Alex. I really take my hat off for everyone that's been rebooking clients in. That would not be an easy task. Okay, so each time I cut, I'm combing it down and I'm assessing what it is I've done, and I'm looking at that shape, making sure that that's sitting really flush. You can see that in through the side there, yeah? So we're working around with these diagonal back sections. I could probably just do that as one. Diagonal back. So I'm all about moving my client's head as well, just to help with that shape. So you could, if you wanted to, like section out an internal ring and just layer that. But there's something about choosing where to stop. And what I mean by stopping is this bit here. There's something beautiful about doing that kind of on the fly and organically. I feel like you don't get as much of a ring. It's not like you're ring barking your client as badly if you just kind of more do it organically. Okay. So we're through to here. Now I'm going to keep working through this side. Just a couple more sections in here. And then I'll start at the front with a diagonal back and we'll work it through the opposite side. Okay, pick this up. Remember, you don't want to go too far down because you'll take out all the guts out of that length, okay? So keeping that strength in the perimeter. In through here. Okay. It's actually really nice to just have like a simple color, like a global color for something like this as well, for these kind of more creative shapes. The last thing you want is a whole lot of highlights and a whole lot of different tones on the go, because it will detract from the shape. Okay. Shade is a different thing though. You could have different shades. You could, once we've done this, it would be really interesting to have a look at where the cut is sitting, what sort of light and shade I've created with the shape, and then sort of coming in with color and designing something like where it needs to be a slightly deeper blonde. Yeah, you could kind of play up that shadow and that concept of light and shade. Okay, so still on top of the fingers. Oh, I forgot to call the scissor sharpen. Man, I need to do that. Try and get these scissors sorted for some real people. No offense, Jane. Okay. So I even like visually like kind of like try and like stand up so I don't build too much weight. So this is so far just round layering. I've round layered internally through here.
This is a question for you. Have you moved to diagonal forward on this side now?
No, I'm still diagonal back on this side. And what I might do is stop right here. Okay, and then I'm going to start at the front with a diagonal back, and then we're going to cross cut it all the way through this side now. So let's move the head. I'm going to have to change my body position, so I'm cutting on top of my fingers. So I'm going to stand in front of my client. Make sure that this is combed down and it's drying really nice and flush, because the last thing you want to have to do is like wet it down and like spend a lot of arm muscle blow drying. So I'll just bring that down. Okay, we're going to start through this side now. I'm going to have to stand at the front, I think, so I can work on top of my fingers again, with a diagonal back section. So I'll just take out this first one. We were talking on the other side, we took the first one right to the hairline, but maybe on this side we leave a bit. So on top of the fingers up here. Can we take that out? It always takes a couple of sections to check that sort of build up of weight, that internal bevel. Make sure that you have actually got it the right length. Bring that up. Yeah, I think that'll be nice having that little bit of length. So we've got that slight asymmetry happening through the front and diagonal back. So the same as what we did on the other side. And what I really want to do with this haircut, so this is all going to be diagonal back. So internally, it's going to want to push this way because hair follows the section, right? When you take a diagonal back section, you're projecting this hair back. But then the hair through the top, I actually want to project that forward. So you're going to have this hair internally underneath going back and sort of brushing back and sitting flush. And then this hair will be projected forward. So hopefully just that little movement in there will give us something quite cool. So pick this up. And that's my plan. I think yeah, have we got Marilyn in the house yet? I wonder if she's coloured something that's been a similar shape to this before. Got any tips as to where we could go? So make sure on this side, the other side I was really good at sort of following that around, This side I actually haven't moved once yet, so you got to remember that and follow around with your section, or you'll over direct everything back, and you'll build up too much weight. Okay, so remember, move around. Oh, sorry, move around with your section. Hey, Marilyn. I wonder, with something like this, Marilyn, would you even think about color or until this haircut is finished, or would it just be like kind of pointless as a colorist? Do you base your ideas off the shape of the haircut? I wonder how, because I think everyone's really different with how they come up with, or where they come up with their ideas. Would you already think of what you want to do, or would you really just have to wait and see how this shape was sitting? I wonder. Okay, we're working around here, and I've had to use that section clip just to keep myself really clean. Hopefully that will pay off. All right, so we're back down here now. So what I might do once we've done this is I'm thinking I'm going to actually dry this bottom, and I'm actually going to refine my line. I'm going to finish this off. So then when I drop the top, it's going to be easier to work with that. Okay, so we're cross-cutting. This is coming across. This came across here. So I'm probably going to run out of length a little bit sooner.
Francis, I think I would wait till the end. I think it's set, and then I would decide on the placement, or if it should be global.
Yeah, I think that I've been, at Bieber, we are really, heavily inspired and always looking to what's happening over in London at Sassoons. I think that the way that they approach hair, has been so fundamentally important to us at Bieber. Like our mentors, Pavlos and Carmel, have a great respect for what Sassoons do. And that has definitely, kind of influenced us. And so I'm always looking over there at what they're up to. And Salon International has been on over the weekend. So it's been really amazing to sort of see what they've been coming up with. And it is a lot of global. It's a lot of like sort of, unique shapes, still very much heavily based off fundamental work. But then it's that global color. So it doesn't end up looking too hectic, which we've all done. I've certainly done a lot of hectic things, but okay, not today. I think this simple color is going to look really beautiful. All right, so there's that shape. You can see how that's sitting really flush already. Okay, we've got this nice line that's dropping down longer at the front. Yeah, so I'm pretty happy with that so far. I'm going to actually dry this, and then we will refine it, and then we can move through into here and start creating our little shape up in through the top here. So I've already filled it with a whole lot of leave-in treatment, so I might just actually pop in a little bit of this argan oil glosser, just a little bit of this. It's just a nice product just to help hydrate those ends. Okay, so just running that through, and then I always, when I've got a product that maybe I put too much in my hand, start through the bottom, because that's going to be the most, the area that's going to need the most amount of hydrating, because it's the furthest away from the scalp where that sort of that oil generates from. So start applying it from the ends and then make your way up to the roots, because by the time you hit the top, you've only got a little bit left. So that's a good little tip when you're applying that product. Kind of start through the bottom and then work your way up. Okay. So I might just work through with my baby paddle because, you know, the last live, I'm just going to do all my favorite things. Wrap dry, baby paddle, no nozzle, high heat. Yeah, I'm on high heat and I'm on high speed. And the way that I control the heat and the speed is with my arm. Okay. So I'm wrapping this from side to side. So what I'm doing while I'm drying the hair even is I'm making sure that the air is actually hitting the cuticle at a 45-degree angle. It doesn't matter whether I'm just drying the hair off or, just, it doesn't matter what you're doing. You never really want to fluff that cuticle up, okay? So it's good practice, even if you're just drying something off and you're going to be, doing a color or something like that, to be having the air going down the cuticle. So I'm watching that. And even though I don't have a nozzle, I can still get a great amount of direction. I mean, I don't want to dry this hair out. It's just about hitting this underneath section. I wonder how much length you've got, Alex. Maybe this is your next haircut. Swapping hands. Make sure you've got a nice amount of natural movement by swapping hands. It's also, even when you're wrapping, good practice to get that dexterity up on both your hands. We're really lucky at the Academy because we've got left-handed cutting teachers and right-handed cutting teachers. So we cater to all the hands out there. Wow, from the Philippines, how amazing. Welcome to my Melbourne lounge room. Are the Philippines in lockdown? We're just running over this length as well, getting a bit of gloss in through that. So yeah, this whole idea of drying the underneath of your shape first, this as a concept takes longer. So it's not really something that I would be encouraging to do in a salon. And that's why, it's great to sort of point out at the start of demos that this is more of a conceptual haircut. Okay. So this takes longer than salon work. So that's why it's a really good idea if you're into this kind of stuff and you're into more pushing the boundaries of things. And no, I feel like no one really talks about this, but you have to do that in your own time. That's not salon work, and it's not really usually something that you get paid for. It's actually that's the stuff that you do because you love it, and so you need to actively go out and do that in your own time. Yeah, because you can't do haircuts that take 2 hours in the salon. It's just absolutely not fair for bosses, or I mean, it's not fair for clients either. No one's got that long. So it's really good to point out, and I feel like maybe it's something creative people should point out a little bit more. Is that this stuff needs to be done in your own time, which is amazing that people are watching because you are in your own time right now. Okay, so I'm still drying that internal round layer, making sure that's all sitting nicely. And you can see you can still get a great sort of finish with that baby paddle. And I might just gloss those ends with the irons. My assistant could turn the irons on. Just let it slip. I'm just joking. Bradley is the best assistant. Filmer, videographer, hype man. What would we do without Bradley? I think this is the most amount of hair we've ever had on the ground, Bradley, as well. We're really going out with a bang here. Maybe maybe I don't need to iron it. I'll see. Oh, maybe I will. I'll lose sleep over not doing it to the best of my ability because I'm pretty crazy. But even though I know that I'm going to be using those irons as a glossing tool and a finish tool, I still try and smooth it with my brush and my dryer to the best of my ability, because you get such a better result if you do that, and you really don't want to rely on the irons. I think people are so much better now at blow drying than they were, say, like 10 years ago, because when irons first came out, it was like, sweet. Like, I think everyone's blow drying skills just went like that. And then we brought in the Twisty Dry, and then everyone's blow dry game just like was next level. I remember when my sister learned how to do the twisty blow dry. It was like crazy. because everyone had just been ironing everything. Okay, so we've got that as smooth as we can. I'm just going to pop this chair up. And we will just gloss this length just a little bit.
Kim Davis asked, what is the Twisty Blow Dry?
The Twisty Blow Dry. I mean, it's not something that we actually personally do a lot of at the academy. When we're on the floor, well, I don't anyway, because you're actually creating a movement and a wave. So a Twisty Blow Dry is, rather than curling around the brush this way, which was like used to be the way we did curls and volume, you'd work around the barrel that way. When you do a twisty, you actually work around the barrel this way, and you hold the barrel more vertically, and you're drawing it down, and you're kind of bouncing back and forth. I wonder if Chris or Marilyn is in the room, because they will explain a Twisty Blow Dry a lot better than me. We've actually got teachers that specialize in dress and style. Or Kim, if you're in the room, it would be amazing to have that technical description of what a Twisty Blow Dry is. All right, so I'm just coming in. And through there. And just making sure that I've got a real crispness through those ends so that I can come in and refine that perimeter line. Bit of length there. I don't know if I'll be able to reach that. Just leave that internal layer. I think I don't want to iron that because I will ruin my beautiful bevel. So just coming under here. It's more about just glossing this length. So I want to make sure that when I iron, I finish ironing the exact kind of parallel to the perimeter. So everything sits really flush down through there. So we'll do this, and then we will refine our perimeter line using a pointing technique. And then we can move into the top. I think the last demo, did anyone watch Tuesday's demo? Anya, we cut Anya's mullet off. Everyone in my house has had haircuts in the last 2 days, getting ready for actually seeing people in real life. Everyone except for me. So when I finish ironing, I'm not very quick to go through and comb it, because I find that if I just leave it, then I get a better result. Okay, so I'm ironing it down and then I'm just stopping. Okay, and you do not have nearly as many flyaways. Iron down and then just stop. Okay, so I think that's our glossed line and our internal round layering. Now what I might do is check this line. Okay, in through here. So tilt your client's head down I'll go this way and I'll move around so you can see. So you tilt your client's head down, and then any excess graduation on your line will pop out, okay? So then you can come through using a pointing technique and clean up that line. Now, I would be always more inclined to use a pointing technique to refine a line than I would to go horizontal, because hair is growing out of the head vertically, and as soon as you go through horizontally, you're going to potentially add another problem, okay? So pointing is a softer, more forgiving, natural way to sort of refine anything that you're not particularly loving. So through the front here, if you need to hold it through the comb, you can do that. But I'm holding it through the comb on the angle of the line. So I'm coming through like that. Okay, and I'm using those wide teeth because this is not about tension. Tension would not be your friend right now. You really, when you're cross-checking this line, you don't want to add any tension, you know? It's more like, what does this look like when this client's just walking around down the street? So we'll just bring that one up, just that little bit here. Okay, and then we'll check the other side. Again, this would be a lot easier if Jane had like a neck and a back, because you could use that. That would be really helpful. But look, I'm not about to pick on her because I'm pretty chuffed that they're letting me do this haircut without complaining. So see that pointing? So you get this just much more of a natural finish on that line. And I mean, this comb's really nice because it's got really wide teeth. Okay. All right. So I'm going to now refine this internal. So put the chair down. Just going to see if there's anything that I need to refine through here. So I might just work around, just pick this up. Just through here, it looks a little bit heavy, just right at this front bit. So I'm just gonna, you can see how that just softened there, just this bit here. Just dust that so it sits in a little bit more flush. Sometimes it's not about texturizing. Sometimes it's about just dusting something a little bit shorter, and you get the result you're after. So I'll just pick this up. Just going to dust through this. So another sort of way that you could work through here is you could just pick this up with a little bit of sort of scissor over comb. It is difficult with that length through there, so you can push that down, pick that up. You know, if you wanted to just refine that a little bit in through there. Just that bit of scissor over comb. We're just coming through this way and dusting. So you can see it's like little bits coming off, just to do that final refining. And you can see I just took that one down a little bit further there. Happy with that. Just dusting off here. I think I'm actually like ran out of talk. Yeah. 2 years of lounge room lives. Feels like 2 years. It hasn't been quite 2 years, I'm sure. So dusting. If there's more than that, like, you know what I mean? Like you maybe haven't layered it short enough from the start. Okay, so that's why it's really important that you assess that guide and you kind of watch your shape grow and evolve, because you wouldn't want to get to this point and you're like, oh, I think it's not sitting in the right spot, or all of that sort of stuff. Okay, last little bit here. Okay, so there is our bottom. I'm just checking that internal, just to make sure I'm happy with that bevel, that internal bevel. And when I look at it, right, I can just see there is sitting out a little bit. I don't know if you can see that. So what that tells me is that I just need to pick this up and just dust it a little bit more. There's just a little bit of weight there somewhere. So just gently picking that up and dusting it a little bit tighter. On top of my fingers. Okay, and now that's sitting flusher. Cool. All right. I'm just going to hold it up here so I can have a look at this. Okay. Yeah. Oh. In through there. Okay. All right. I'm ready to move into the top. I might carve this around here later, but I think we're going to move on. Release the top. I'm going to first take out my crown section. Okay. So I'm going to stand through this side. I've kind of got my belly button in line with my client's ear, so I can use that as a reference point. And I could probably then even turn my client to face, so this side here would be in the mirror. So then you're able to sort of reach over, use the mirror, line yourself up with the ear, and then come and meet the ear on this side. Like, the mirror really is a great tool for balance. Okay. We're going to go straight across. And we'll separate this crown out of the way. Bring the front forward. Take out this. Now I want a round shape. I want a really nice round look. So I think it would make sense for me to do a round layer. It makes sense for me to take diagonal sections if I want the hair to sit around the head. Now underneath we took diagonal back, so this would sit in really flush. Now I'm going to take diagonal forward, okay? Making sure that my section's nice and balanced. Get this out of the way. Just place that through there. Just going to grab my other comb. All right, so I'm going to split it down the center. Take this out of the way. And I'm going to pivot from this point of origin through the top. and I'm going to break off and create a round layer. Okay, so we'll take out our first piece of pie. We'll pick this up.
KXLK. Sorry, I came in late. What haircut is this?
This is, today we're working on something that's more conceptual, more creative. We're going to do a really nice cropped round layer through here, and we've got some length happening. We've taken out a little bit of internal length with a round layer, and that is where we're at. So this top is going to be a little bit disconnected. So the first thing I'm going to do is just cut my guide and just see how it's sitting. Okay. I think that's, so you can see how it's disconnected to that underneath. So pick it up and I'll show you again. Under there. Okay, so this is going to sit over it and hide that. Okay. So I'm going to take my next section. I'm pivoting from my point of origin through the top. So it's a round layer, keeping my sections nice and clean, which you can see. If you need to use a clip to isolate your sections out of the way, that's fine. But I would always I like to keep my client with that even dampness, and I feel like I have more control when I do that. So go to that first knuckle, stop, pick it up again. Okay, and we're working around in through here. So if I want a round shape, I have to commit and move around my client. Okay, so I'm following my section around the head shape. So this is like, people would be like, oh, it's a creative haircut. But the way that we talk about creative haircuts at Bieber is that they're just a combination of classic techniques. So, you know what I mean? You need to have a really strong, solid understanding of your classics if you want to create, different, unusual shapes. Because it's all about the classic. Okay. So we'll pick this up. I'm following it around. And then my last section here, pick that up. Always combing from my new section. And there's that round layer there. Okay, so this little round layer is going to sit up on top of this really nice line that's going to come through here. We're going to move through and repeat the same thing through this side. So I go and centralize myself. I go back to my point of origin and I branch off with a diagonal forward on this side. We'll pick this up. My first piece of pie. I even sometimes mentally remind myself that it's disconnected, because you might be just kind of have a moment where you just forget what you're doing. So it's really good to always just remind yourself of that end goal of what you're trying to create, so you do make smart choices. Okay, we'll pivot around. Got to move my body around with my shape. So you can stand behind if you want, or you can stand in front. It's a little bit trickier when the hair folds down on this side, but see how you go. So see, though, it's a bit hard. So you could also stand through the front here and work your way up in through here. Depending on your height as well, I find sometimes it's a little tricky for everyone to do that. Okay. And last section through the back. Coming from my new section and establishing that round, really nice full shape through the crown. So we've got this shape sitting up in through the top here. Okay, now the section that we took from the whole very start of this haircut was asymmetric. So whilst this is symmetrical up here and I've got really nice balance, trust me, you're gonna have to trust me, it's not symmetrical down here. Yeah, because this section came up and it went down. So we've got a little bit more length coming in through here, then it came up and then it went down. So we've got that little bit of extra length in through there. So that's what that sort of sweeping different sections actually gives you a different shape in through the perimeter. Okay, I've just left one little bit of hair here that I'll grab before we move through into the front. There it is. Okay, check your round. And then we're going to move through into the front. So to cut the front, I will keep it really simple as well. So I'm going to split it down the center. Go down through the middle. And I'm going to work with a diagonal forward section to project the hair forward. So take that out of the way. So we will take the last section from the back as our guide. We'll take a diagonal forward section through here, and this is just like a classic short round section through the top. Okay, and we'll pick this up, and I'm going to start over directing a little bit back to the previous. Okay, just so we keep a little bit more length in through the front of the face. Okay, so there's our first section. I'm going to take my next diagonal section and we'll over direct back a little bit. Just back to the previous. So even when I want to create a round shape, I try and soften my fingers as well. Like rather than being like, you know, it's like soft, round, which is not always the easiest thing to do. So it's a good idea to be practicing creating shapes with your fingers. Bring this one back. So I'm kind of mentally thinking about where I over directed that to, because I want to kind of recreate the similar vibe on the opposite side. Okay, so it's not back to the first, it's kind of having a feeling of over direction just to generate a little bit more length through the front. Diagonal forward. And last section, we'll bring that back. And then we're going to repeat the same process on the opposite side. So these diagonal back round sections. So this is going to sit forward and longer in through the front. Okay, looks really regal, I think, this shape. So we'll take the last piece of pie from the back. And maybe I will stand in the front because I'll find it easier to push back with this length. So I'll stand here for you and we'll take a diagonal forward and we'll push it back into our guide through this side. Making sure we can see that guide really clearly through there. And if you can't see it really clearly, take less, okay? I always say I don't think it matters how long you've been cutting hair. You're never too good for your guide. See, now I can really see that. So when you can really see it, it kind of gives you that added confidence too. You know, and you're able to work faster, I think, because you're not second guessing yourself. It's really clear, really obvious through there. This one's taking a while. I feel like we'll probably be here. Will we be here at 11:59, Bradley? We get out of lockdown. Alex is like, no. Won't be that much longer. Once we finish this, we will dry it, and we'll do all our refining of our shape when it's dry. So you can see I'm still branching off. I've got these diagonal forward sections, and I'm just bringing that back to generate a little bit more length through the front. In through here. It doesn't matter as you come up here if you take a cross section into the other side. But staying on top of your fingers so you get that really nice rounded form. Making sure you don't have any little weight marks through there. Okay. And this section on this side was lower, remember? So it's going to look a little bit different too. It's going to sit a little bit heavier and longer in through the bottom of the shape. So you can convert a classic round layer into something that looks really creative by simply taking an asymmetric section, you know, rather than taking that traditional horseshoe section. Okay, so I'm just going to work this side as well, diagonal back, and I'm going to cross cut everything through here and make sure in through the front everything connects. Okay, so we'll bring this up in through this side.
Kobe said, what's everyone doing at 11:59 to celebrate?
Oh, Kobe, I reckon I'll probably be asleep.
Go down to the,
maybe I'll go to the Tankerville. Do you reckon the Tankerville will be open? That sounds fun. Yeah, what's everyone doing at 11:59 in Melbourne tonight? So random. I think I'm going to turn into a pumpkin. I don't know how I'm going to deal with it. Like, I'm so excited, but then I'm like, I have to see people. Like, things that aren't mannequins. Okay, so we're ready to dry this off. So I'm going to just go through. I'm not going to put any further product in there except for a little bit more leave-in treatment because I just want to really hydrate this through the top, this shape. And what I do need to do is, you can see in through here how that's dried. I'm just going to make sure I add just that little bit of dampness so I'm able to get that kink out through there. Okay. So we'll start with a wrap, then we will end with an iron gloss. So we'll wrap from side to side. So because we had that disconnection, the top is longer than the bottom. That is why I dried the bottom off first, okay? Knowing that I'm not going to be able to get back under there and sort of dust off and refine. But if you are like sort of joining this haircut and you went here from the start, this is not like a salon cut. This is like more of a conceptual cut. And, you know, for me, I have such a love for the classics, and I think it's because I, in my own time, push the boundaries, and I try and come up with new random shapes and stuff like that. So I'm kind of constantly trying to like self motivate, but you've got to do it in your own time. Yeah. So I think for me, one of the most phenomenal things is that I've had wonderful models. So I don't know if the students in the room know, but Alex, who is in this call, is like the greatest hair model in the universe. Um, you know, you got to find some hair models, and it sounds bad calling them hair models because that's what they are at the start, but they end up being incredible friends because they're people that believe in your creative vision and allow you to kind of experiment like a muse, like back in the day. So I would recommend if you want to get into being able to execute shapes like this on real people, you've got to go get some models. They're not the clients in the salon. Yeah, your bosses will be like, no. But I think it's really important to, you know, if you're interested in these sorts of things, you need to explore your ideas and get them out. Oh, I like this. We all need an Alex. Yeah. I've had some amazing hair models. And everyone's always like, where do you get your models from, Lyndall? I chase them. I literally chase people around streets. Like and that's just what you have to do. I mean, what's the worst they're gonna say? No. I mean, it doesn't hurt that deeply, but you never know if you don't ask because most of the time they're like super flattered and into it. Yeah. Okay. I might just need to up the ante. Now that I've rack dried the roots, I'm gonna add my nozzle. That's right, friends. We're putting the nozzle on. Okay. Because I need a little bit more direction. So the nozzle's giving me a little more precision on the direction of the air. Okay. Daniel Reynolds. Yeah, Daniel's really good at it. I think that I think you got to practice it because you'll say so many like you almost need to do it like 20 times and you get all the garbage out and then you kind of get your line that works for you. I mean, it sounds terrible calling it a line, but it kind of is. I find it a lot easier to look for hair models now that I don't have a shaved head because when I had a shaved head, they were like, "Oh yeah, okay, yeah, you want to do my hair, do you?" And they'd be like, "That's where it's going to end up." Yeah, my go-to method, right? I'm going to share it with you. You got to have a clipboard. Starts with the clipboard, right? I mean, and where do you even get a clipboard these days? No one has clipboards. So maybe an iPad and a pen is a good one to start, and a business card. So if you're a Beaver Academy student, just grab some cards from the front desk and carry them around with you because it makes you look less crazy, right? And then I would say, I walk up to someone and I'm like, excuse me. Um, this might sound a bit weird, but have you ever thought about doing any modeling? I literally say that. And they go like this, like, no, like that. And you're like, yeah, you have. Like, you totally thought about it. And then it sort of starts from there. I don't give them the information of what I'm doing. I don't sort of bombard them with, I'm doing a competition and I want to cut your hair to here, and then like, don't go there. All you want to do is get their details, okay? Because you want to get like 50 people's details, yeah? So I would then go, look, I'm not crazy. I'm from Beaver Academy. You can look me up. Maybe don't say that if you know, got a dodgy past. But so I'm from Beaver Academy. Here's my card. And I'd love to do your hair for free one day. Like, I'm always looking for models for all different types of work. Yeah, and that's it. Take a photo and you get their name. Don't say, I'll give you my number, because they never call. They don't. Trust me. So that's my tip. And I also, one of the key things that I say is, I'm out street casting. I don't know if that like works in like us post pandemic, but it was a real winner pre pandemic. I'm out street casting. And yeah, try not to have like a stack of pamphlets because people think you're trying to sell something. This is for you, Daniel. It's like one big Spock. So you could, you know, if round brush is your jam, you could round brush this. I just wouldn't be like putting too much of a false like volume on it, because you want to make sure that the cut's sitting in the right spot. Okay, I'm nearly done. And then we'll pick up those irons just to gloss this. So wrap it, make sure all the roots are sitting really smooth and kind of wrapped around so they've got great movement. These mannequins are so thick through the top. So, you know, what I'm thinking about right now is I'm definitely going to have to be doing some point cutting directly into that hair shaft, because I don't want to add loads of texture, but I want to loosen my shape up to add movement. Yeah. So it's looking a bit chunky. It definitely, like, mannequins have got this huge density through the top that humans don't have. Okay. So let's just bring this around. And you want to make sure you're ironing it in the direction that you cut it. So we've taken diagonal forward sections. So I'm just going to come through and iron this more forward. Okay. Oh, where's your face? There. And again, I prefer to use my blow dryer to get as much finish as I can, and then the irons are merely just more like a gloss on the ends. Okay. Just bringing that forward. Yeah, so far our techniques that we've combined, we did a line. We used the technique of over direction on our line, and that actually then created a bit more length through the front, which you can see. We then underneath, through the internal, we created a round layer. We started that round layer through the front with diagonal back sections, okay? And so that's the underneath is coming through here, and then the front we've worked through with a short round layer section, using more those kind of diagonal forward sections as you would for a classic short round. And so that's pushed this hair forward. That's kind of the opposite. So we've got lots of length. We use some over direction as well through the front. So that has kind of increased that length, okay? And I'm just glossing these ends just a little bit. I really don't want to flatten it. Yeah, I just want to make sure that I've got a nice seal through the ends, which, you know, on a client you might not need to do, or maybe if, you know, round brush, if you're savvy with the round brush, maybe you've already done this with your finish. Okay. And then we've got to figure out what we're going to do with the fringe. Okay, comb it down into its true shape as well. Make sure that you're not ironing it somewhere where it doesn't want to sit, because then we're going to have to do some finishing, okay? So you want to make sure that you've actually got a true vision of where this hair wants to sit. Hi, Maggie. Okay. So first things first, I'm going to come through and point cut. Okay, we want to use the same sections that we cut for this top. So we've gone through with a round layer. So I'm going to pick up my round layer in through here. I'm going to stand in the same position so that I can cut evenly in through the ends here. And I'm going to remove some weight. Point cutting. So you want to get yourself in a position where you're pointing into the ends and your wrist is flat, yeah? And I'm going to work that through the top. So this is really my go-to weight removal, my go-to movement to promote a little bit more movement. This is how I, you know, really like kind of break a shape up. But it's the only way you can check this is visually, okay? So you got to visually stop and constantly assess what it is you're doing and make sure it looks good. I've just got this bit of hair here that I need to add into this layer. It belongs in there. So this is generally where a student will start to kind of chop their fingers. So some tips are to not come in and out, in and out. You want to more just kind of pick your depth and then move along the depth. Bradley, can you open the back door? I'm like cooking. I'm slowly I'm like a little dim sim in this, my hair. It's like, I don't know how people have really long hair. It's like I've got a doona around my head at all times now. Thank you. Thank you, darling. So you can see this is starting to move a little bit more, but I don't want texture, okay? I want it to still sit really smooth. So I'm using the same sections and I'm pointing just more directly into the ends, yeah? If I wanted more texture, I would try and break up the line, but I'm not necessarily breaking up the line. I just want to, and that's the real difference on the angle that you hold the pointing, okay? So it's more just this pointing directly in. You can get a sore thumb after a while, which this is another really good reason why scissor movement practice is like critical, because it's just a muscle. You got to work this muscle out. Okay, nearly finished this side. Has everyone gone to sleep? Hopefully you're all relaxing and enjoying your last day of lockdown. So Bieber Academy students as well, that are sort of maybe a little unsure what they're doing, make sure that you reach out and speak to Alex. Make sure that you reach out and contact Alex, or you can contact Morella, and they can kind of formulate a little plan for you. Hopefully there were some surveys that were sent out as well for our students. Hopefully everyone knows what I'm talking about when I say that. And if you don't, then maybe I'd give Morella or Alex a buzz too. Okay, let's move through this side as well. So coming back to the center, picking this up. This side's not as dense. So the way that the mannequin's been woven, the part's more down in this side. So even though you know, it's a mannequin, it's still got like kind of an individual personality. So I need to work with that. So I definitely don't need as much pointing through this side. Okay, and this hair seems to want to sit over here.
Kirby said not today, but she has been guilty in the past of falling asleep.
Oh, good, Kobe. I actually find it really relaxing watching people cut hair. It's like, I know this sounds so creepy, but it's almost as like enjoyable for me as getting a massage. I zone out and watch people cut hair. I don't know if anyone else is unusually weird like that. But it's like my ultimate favorite thing. As long as they're not moving through the hair like a bushfire, I don't enjoy that. It doesn't spark joy for me. That actually just gives me anxiety. Okay. So you can see how that's wanting to come and sit through there, which actually just looks quite soft. And we've met this other side now. So we've worked through, we've got more movement, but we haven't got like a choppy chop fest going on. Okay. So what I want to do now is I just want to refine the fringe, and I'm just going to have a look at, then we can just style it and see where this haircut's going to go. So we'll bring this up.
Kirby said it's like ASMR listening to the snipping.
Yeah, totally, Kobe. That's how I feel.
Brown said it's like a brain massage.
A brain massage.
Johan said there's a couple of people I've cut, but definitely only noticed the golden piglet just there.
Oh, yes, Johan. I moved my piglet there because I was concerned that no one has seen my piglet for years because it's been hiding over there. Thank you for my golden piglet. All right. So this bit here, let's start working through the top here. This bit here has got to go. It looks like a big sideburn, okay? So in here, I'm going to hold this back with my finger to access this sort of, first thing I'm going to do is point up into it, okay? Reducing the weight of it so it can sit a little bit flusher into the head. That's better. It's looking a bit sluggish for me.
So cool.
Okay, so you see just that little softness in through there. We've got that shape out through the back. All right, and through the fringe, let's have a look. I actually like this side heaviness in through here, but I might under here, I'm just going to reduce that bulk a little bit more so it sits flat around the face. It's like finding that element between like adding that bit of beauty to these haircuts too, you know. So diagonal, I'm going to do a sweeping fringe. I'm going to grab this. So I've taken diagonal sections that way. I'm going to come through, I'm going to work on top of my fingers so it's softer, and I'm going to point cut. And I'm going to take out this corner. Okay, and so then that's going to fall short to long through here. So I'm going to continue that. So it's a diagonal section over there. I'm going to bring this up and over direct it on top of my fingers and just take out that corner. And the over direction will push the hair over, and then we're going to have more of a heavy sweeping fringe coming through to this side. You know, I still want this haircut to look really beautiful, so I think having this like more of a sweeping, more romantic sort of fringe through here makes all the rest of it look a bit more digestible. Don't know if that's tech talk or... Okay. Now this side here, we've got this length. Okay. I'm going to come through and I'm going to bring up this corner in here. Okay, so I'm going to grab this hair in through here. I'm going to use my comb, okay, and I'm going to refine the perimeter through this side. So I'm going to pick it up, splay it out on the comb, and using a pointing technique, I'm going to come and just soften out on this corner so it's not as heavy, and take away some of this length. Now we haven't done the length yet because remember we went through this top layer, we went straight in with that round layer. So I'm just refining this length of the top in through here. So using my comb to introduce elevation so it's softer. What I'm doing is softer up in through here, yeah? If I did this down 0 degrees, then I would have a really harsh line, and I'm not looking for that. I want this to kind of sweep over the top like that. Cool. So I'm just with this length, just going to add just that slight bevel in through there. Just that little bit in through there, and the same through this side. Because I think then that works with this fringe too. Just reassessing these ends because we chopped off some of that. I don't want this to look sort of heavy. So picking this up. I'm just re-glossing those ends. Just that little thing, if it was a competition or something, it's just going to add that element of kind of softness and beauty to the shape, which, I don't know, when I'm judging a competition, I think something still has to look really, you know, have an element. Not always, of course. You could go and do something really crazy, but
Marilyn says it's so good.
thanks, Marilyn. So, Marilyn, now that we're nearly finished, what color do you think? Wow, Maggie's over it. Good job, Maggie. Last lounge room live, she just threw up on the floor. Ooh, outside. Yeah, I wonder what Marilyn's thinking with the color.
Louisa says it looks really cool.
Thanks, Louisa. I'm going to cut your hair like this. Just glossing those ends.
Louisa's considering it.
Go on, Louisa. Dare you. If in doubt, cut it out. It's a good rule. Okay. Last thing I need to do is when I look here, right? When I look at this, I think this looks really soft, and this here is still too heavy. Can you see that? The way that that's kind of, it's actually coming in and it's just jutting in there. So I need to actually soften this. So I'm going to take these diagonal sections around, okay? And there's a little corner in here that I'm going to point cut through. Okay, pick this up. This corner here, okay? These are the bits that I think, like, it will come with experience. You end up kind of moving through hair, I don't know, just in a little bit more of an organic way. So you see in here? And I mean, but unless you stop and like use your eyes and really assess what you've done, it's hard to get to that next level and push yourself, yeah? Let's point that a bit too, the way we did on the other side. Okay. That's better. So that's going to move more now there. Okay. How you feeling, Jane? I love it, Lyndall. It's time for you to go back to work. All right. Now, because we've ironed that, I'm going to just spritz this with a tiny bit of leave-in treatment, which is like my go-to secret weapon to take away that look of freshly ironed. Yeah, actually just this little bit here. Just this length on this side. Just need to tuck that in a bit. Right there. This is where everyone's like, Lyndall, come on. Put it down. All right. All right, we need some product. What should we use? I think I'm actually going to go through with some Glam Mist because I really like the shape of this. I don't want to like add texture. Fudgy is going to give me texture and I don't really want texture. So I'm going to go through with some Glam Mist, which is an aerosol spray, and I'm going to use my widest comb that I've got possible to sort of just direct that and just put some gloss into it and kind of move the hair at the same time.
Francis is thinking maybe something beautiful, soft and curly all over toner.
Yeah, I think an all over global Marilyn would be the nicest. Okay. Have you got like the confetti cannons ready, Brady? Like shake up that bottle of champagne and like, yeah, no. I'll see you guys all at the pub soon. Okay, so I've put that shine spray through. Now I'm just going to get a little bit of spray. And when I say spray, I mean hairspray.
Kim Davis says love it.
Oh, thank you, Kim.
And kneecaps is another sort of done on realising the Fringe workout I had in 2012. Give us some of the tails.
Yes. Bring back the scene girl hair.
The cream tails and coming back, says Kobe.
Good. Kobe, was it you that was asking me for rat tails? This is like one big rat tail. And through here. Just kind of expand that shape a little bit. And I think we're done. I think we did it. Okay. So we went out on a bit more of a creative one, you know, because why not? I love cutting hair. So, quick recap. The section that we took was asymmetric. And I'll upload pictures so you can all see it, but it was really similar to the section that we used for Stuart Bain's short look that we did last week. So it's really cool to see how within a section, by doing different techniques, you can complete a totally different end result. So we did a one length line, we over directed the line back. And remember, key thing was body position, okay? So no like moving around too much because it's gonna stuff up your line. So we over directed the line back. Then we came internally. We started through the front with a diagonal back section and we removed some internal weight. So we flattened it all the way through both sides underneath. We've got this kind of flat round layer in under here. Yeah. Once we've done that, we dried the bottom and we refined that. Okay. Knowing that the top was longer. So it's disconnected, but it is still just a simple round layer through the top. So we started off, we took out the crown, and we pivoted from our point of origin through the crown area, working on top of our fingers and creating a really beautiful round layer. And then we worked it through a little bit of over direction, worked it through a little bit of an over direction. Then we've dried that and we've worked with the way that the hair is moving. Okay, we've got a part happening on this side and the hair wanted to come around. So we've worked with that and we've moved into just a really beautiful sweeping fringe working off that side. So we've taken a diagonal forward section that way, worked on top of our fingers, we over directed it and just took out that corner just to give us a softer sweeping fringe through there. Yeah, we've spoken about global color when you're creating something that is more on that conceptual creative combination side of things, so that I think the eye can travel around this in a really beautiful way. Whereas if we had panels of different color going on, it's kind of like, I don't know where I'm meant to focus, like where's my brain meant to look? But when everything's global, I think you can just travel around it and appreciate more the shape and the form of it. So yeah, as Marilyn was saying, I think bang on. I'd just keep this global if we were going to color it, because this is just the raw mannequin color.